is a Variety Sports Network production. Now to your host.
What's going on? I'm Darren Breyer. I got Brian Johnson with me here on week 13, Talking the Gridiron. We're going to get into a lot of things here. Like we said, we're starting to get down to 5 weeks left, and then we got playoff time here. So things are starting to really get decided here down in the NFL season. A lot of big games today. Niners, Dolphins, Vikings, Jets, Bengals, Chiefs, a few other games in there that had some implications with injuries along the way. We'll touch on a ton of different topics. We'll hit on the Monday night game a little bit as well at the end. And then we'll kind of take a little preview, a little look ahead to maybe what the playoffs could look like. And then my favorite part of the day here, my tweet of the week involving our friend Adam here. So I can't wait to have that on as our tweet of the week on Talking the Gridiron. So Brian Johnson, you're with me. You're usually with Tyler McGurk in the morning here talking Niners. You're venturing out tonight. Going to touch on different things on different teams. Looking forward to having you on, my friend. It's been a while since me and you got together to talk crap and talk football. And me and you don't always agree, as people could probably see on Twitter. So I'm looking forward to having you on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, or in the stretch run for the NFL, and I'm psyched for the playoffs. And I know a lot of people they have a down attitude because Jimmy G went down, but I actually have a different attitude about it. I'm actually kind of motivated, and I think it's a blessing in disguise for the 49ers.
I can't wait to get your topic, to get your thoughts even more on the Niners here a little bit more as we move forward here in the games. Do you care if I start with the early game here, the game that me and you, when I called you this morning and said, "Hey, Brian, you want to jump on today?" I was like, "What game are you watching?" You're like, "Vikings, Jets." I said, "Same here." Vikings hang on to beat the Jets, and a game that I wasn't. You look at the start of the year, you're not thinking this is going to be a thrilling game, right? When you're looking at the season, but man, what a game it turned out to be. Vikings hang on, like I said, for a 27-22 victory. White, he continues to, kind of give the Jets a little boost on offense. I mean, what do you think? Can the Jets hang on for a playoff spot with Mike White at the quarterback? Is the defense good enough to get him by with the Niners ex-coach leading the show?
I feel like Saul was trying to build this team like a young Niners in the aspect that they're kind of built through the defense and they kind of have sparks on offense, but they just lack receivers. And I think they'll make the playoffs as a wild card, but I just don't see them going anywhere. There's too much firepower in the AFC in the top.
Well, like I said, we always have a guy, my co-host Jimmy here at far. Wasn't able to make it tonight. If you're in the podcast game long enough, you need to take some week time off a little bit. So Jimmy doing that a little bit this week, good for him. He definitely deserves a little bit of teaching too. We'll do that to you. So hopefully get him back next week. But with that said, his brother earlier in the year, what we have, the Jets are going to shock the world, steal a wild card spot. This was week 1. Brian Johnson on Talking the Gridiron. And again, they end up losing today. But again, they hold that 7 seed. Do you think they hold that spot, or do you think the Chargers or the Patriots make a run at it? Or could the Raiders that we get into? You think they hold that final spot?
Yeah, I think they're going to get the final spot. I think they're going to end up playing the Miami Dolphins.
White doesn't worry you at all, my friend?
I don't know. I just think he's a lot better than Zach Wilson, and I just think he'll be able to do enough to get them to the playoffs. I think their defense it's pretty underrated for AFC defenses out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. They definitely. But today they didn't have the best first half at all. Wouldn't you say? They made some dumb penalties a little bit on that side, and they weren't able to get any third down stops. And then the second half that totally flipped a little bit.
But my defensive rookie of the year pick has come into fruition.
Yeah, what's that?
The cornerback from the Jets that they took out of
Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, he's been a legit corner.
No, he's been really good, and he kind of actually got beat a little bit early by in the game, early on short little plays. Jefferson, he didn't have a big day, but if you watch that game in the first half, some of the catches he makes just to keep a possession going are ridiculous. He got hammered on one of the plays across the middle, helmet to helmet, and he held on there. He might be 1 or 2, right? I mean, a lot of people said 1. I kind of have Adams in there too. So I think 1, 2 right now. Then you got Hill. So there's like this 3-man kind of fight there. And then you're like, well, how about those guys in Cincinnati? So we'll get to those guys a little bit later too. So Jets, like you said, Brian, you're still thinking the Vikings moved to 10-2, a quiet 10-2, and they continue to win close games. Nobody seems scared of the Vikings. Everybody's like, well, the Vikings, they're just going to do what they do. They're going to, Cousins, but at the end of the day, Cousins at the end of the day gets you 10-2. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, they run cooked our offense. I mean, they don't have, what was the guy last year they fired? What was his name? He was the Bengals defensive coordinator for long. Gosh, I should be able to know that guy's name right off the top of my head, but he got Cam last year. And
yeah,
I feel like this
it feels like.
Don't you think that?
Yeah, O'Connell's been definitely an upgrade for that team. They actually, I guess, he used to be a Jets backup quarterback, and I guess they were on the HBO show. What was it? Yeah. And I guess he happened to be a backup quarterback, and they were saying that, and I actually like, yeah, he's definitely been an upgrade over that It felt like he was more of a defensive mind, and he's more of an offensive mind.
I don't know why I can't think of his name right now at all. I see it. I can see it right there.
I'm spacing on that too.
I can see the Bengals coach right there, but in my mind, looking at it right there, Mike Zimmer. That's his name. I had to get it. It was going to bother me too much, Johnson. All right, so Vikings, they end up kind of staying right on the Eagles, right there. 1 loss behind them. They do have that loss to them, so that the Eagles do hold that tiebreaker. All right, let's keep going with the morning games here a little bit. The other big injury in the NFL, not your.
Oh yeah, that was big. Lamar Jackson going down.
Yep, exactly. And you're a big Lamar Jackson fan, I know. Or in the regular season play, I know the playoffs you kind of tend to get a little bit worrisome there, but he hasn't been playing well. I mean, they play the Broncos, who, my goodness, DA said it best. He was on with us last week on Sunday. He said it this week on his podcast. He goes, if you go to listen to if you bet a Broncos game, you sure should bet the under. And they don't score touchdowns. It's like impossible for this team to ever score a touchdown. So anyways, the Ravens hold on. They end up winning at the very end on that Huntley run with 30 seconds left. The Broncos side of it, they continue to just suck, Brian. I mean, one of the worst stories of the season. And who's their pick? Go to Seattle. Seattle. So Seattle's going to get a great pick, which isn't good for you in the division from that standpoint.
Yeah, I feel like I looked at that trade at the beginning of the year, and I thought, man, the Broncos are going to be a legit team, and it just feels like nothing has worked on that offense. They've tried everything they could try, and nothing has happened.
Let it ride. I feel like he should be on a bike. He should be coming on the bikes in practice. Then he can really get made fun of on that stuff. I don't know, man. It's really bad. I mean, nobody thought it was going to be this bad. Then from the Ravens side of it, what a killer loss. I know Huntley's got them by in the past, but the Bengals are on fire right now. Jimmy's Bengals here are heating up. Brian's jacket, they're on fire a little bit to start here. So
I definitely got to say they're my dark horse in the AFC playoffs, because they could possibly knock off some teams and make it to the AFC championship game again.
You're not talking you're talking Bengals, right?
I'm talking about the Bengals.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense here. All right, let's stay with the afternoon here. One last tweet. We'll go, and then I'll get to our tweet of the day here. I wanted to go quickly through this game here. We had the Browns and the Steelers. They ended up victorious, moving to 5-7. Nothing exciting about the games, right? Kind of ugly wins. Steelers, in their typical fashion, end up winning over the Falcons. They get the defensive stands. Watson comes in, was awful. The Browns end up scoring 2 touchdowns, one on special teams, the other one on defensive touchdown. They didn't even get an offense.
The fact he hasn't even played in 2 years. I mean, he's got to be rusty.
Yeah, for sure. Texans are a good team to start up against, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you think? Any quick thoughts on those teams? Do you think either of them, like I said, which team do you trust more? Is there one that you think could maybe catch on? Like some people think with Watson back, the Browns could catch fire. What do you think?
I don't know with this whole controversy with Watson. I don't know. I think Watson's going to spend most of the year just trying to get to middle ground. Like right now, he hasn't played for 2 years, and I don't think you're going to see anything from Watts until next year.
I mean, there's still 5 weeks left. You better show something, or maybe go back to
I feel like you need OTAs, you need training camp, you need preseason, just to kind of get it back to where it was before.
Well, he's been getting a lot of massage, and that hadn't helped in the offseason. So we'll see if he can get himself back to play. Then the Steelers side of things, Mike Tomlin, he wants to get to 500, so they'll be fighting out. They're always just a pain in the butt to play. So we'll see what.
I do think they made the right decision to go with Kenny Pickett. I mean, you got to go. You got to see what you can get from the future, and I think he's kind of he has a good connection with that receiver that they took in the draft. What's his name?
Yeah, the guy from Georgia.
Pickens.
Pickens. Yeah,
so I think that's like a future, and you're kind of seeing what you're going to get from the Steelers in the future. So.
No, that's a good call there for sure. So we talked about the Browns, talked about the Steelers. They're kind of at the bottom part of that division, though. Of course, you're kind of just hanging on. A couple other games here in the afternoon, then we'll touch on the big games here in the afternoon here. What do you think about the Rodgers Packers? They continue to own the Bears. It doesn't matter if he owns the Bears.
I guess what I look for in the future is that this seems like a young team. It doesn't seem like a veteran team that's going to win. I just feel like, are you going to go Jordan Love at some point because you want to see what you can get from him? I mean, Rodgers seems like a guy in the offseason that I could see getting traded.
Where do you think he would go? Denver's kind of out of the question right now. So where do you say he could get traded, but what team? Like the Niners?
I could probably see. I mean, the Colts could probably give them a chance just because they need a quarterback, and I don't know if the quarterbacks in this draft are going to get you anything in the future, and I don't know, maybe the 49ers, some there too. So
yeah, no, that's true. You could get something there with them. I like this Watson kid though that they got, this rookie. He's not bad.
Yeah. That was a good draft pick by them.
I mean, it seems like Rodgers is now learning how to finally use him a little bit. And Watts is learning how to play with him. And Jones has always been pretty good as a running back for him.
I just feel like over the years they've gotten worse talent-wise. They've gotten rid of their playmakers, and I just feel like they're going to have to rebuild at some point and get younger, and I just feel like you want to see where you're going to get out of Jordan Love.
Yeah, will be interesting. What was that thing with you? That's why you have insurance. That's why you draft a quarterback in the first round, just for that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so they continue to play well. Like I said, Fields didn't have his best game today. Been kind of hoping he would kind of keep it going through the second half, but today was definitely a stinker on his part of it. All right. The other part here, afternoon game, I kind of wanted to our tweet of the week, Adam Darwish, if you're out there, we got this. I mean, come on, the Patriots suck on offense. They lose to the Bills. What do you think?
I did make a comment about the Patriots on the T&B podcast show. I basically said stick a fork in them.
That's like I said, this is my favorite tweet. I love how it says Mike or he says Jones. I like how Patriots fans say Jones is not the problem either. I mean, what do you think? I mean, you've been harsh on you. Nobody's been harder on Mac Jones than you, probably because you and Adam are friends. You have this rivalry as a Patriots-Niners hate, and the Niners were thinking about taking Mac Jones. You've referred to the man as Noodle Arm, so you obviously have had. I know it's all in fun, but
I mean, if
you're one game behind the Jets, Brian.
I feel like if you look at all the quarterbacks that were taken in that draft, like who has looked really good? Lawrence hasn't looked great. Fields has been up and down. Lance hasn't really played. Mac Jones has been up and down as well. So it's been the whole quarterback class. I haven't really seen like a guy that's really looks like a franchise out of any of those guys.
It's just kind of weird how pathetic it has kind of been, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't really been that great the way you read.
I mean, it didn't start out good for Lawrence because he got Urban Meyer for a year, and that was a train wreck.
Oh, I kind of find it funny with the Patricia part that Adam is talking about too with it because everywhere he goes, he kind of gets crap for it, but he keeps finding jobs.
Yeah,
I don't know how
I
like this
know.
man does it. Do you think that there's a chance like see that's the thing with the Raiders too, right? With their court with their head coach, they always feel like Bill's there to kind of give him a job back. But I kind of want to go back to the Bills and Patriots here. That division to me is very intriguing, right? Like I never thought the AFC East was going to be as loaded as it was. And when I say loaded, maybe we don't look as the Jets and the Patriots loaded teams, but their records are better than the other teams. So at this point, that's the what is right. So what do you think? You think like there's any chance right now that the Patriots could get past the Jets? Like I said, they're one game behind them, and don't the Patriots have the head-to-head at this point?
Yeah, they beat him twice, but
So
I just don't know. I kind of looked at the strength of schedule, and I feel like the Jets have an easier schedule, and I don't know. I just that's just how I feel about it personally. I mean, the Patriots could get in as the seventh seed, but I mean, at the end of the day, the seventh seed is they're probably going to go out in the first round anyway. So I mean, you're not going to go to the Super Bowl as the seventh seed.
well, if it's windy, Brian, they can ride that wind. They get a big fear. They can start running the ball, take the air out of the ball. No, that was kind of a rough one though on Thursday night for our guy Adam there with my.
I feel like Tua kind of had a stinker today. I mean, he was missing passes all game,
Yeah,
and
he wasn't a great either on that part of it.
yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving there. Adam, we appreciate you listening. I know he's checking in right now on the Patriots talk, so I appreciate you tuning in, buddy.
I'll admit, I'll say it right now. It isn't just Mac Jones; it's the whole quarterback class has just been I'll use the word underwhelming.
Can Bill Belichick get ripped on? Is he allowed to get ripped on? I mean, Patricia's taking all the fire from that. Is Bill Belichick? Can he take a little heat? What do you think? Would there ever be a world where they would fire him?
No, not even close.
Not happen. Not happen. Never
But I
happen.
just don't understand why you're having a guy who is considered defensive and he's calling offensive plays. That seems odd to me.
Well, maybe he feels reverse psychology would work in that. Right there. All right, so there it is. Our Patriots talk there for our guy Adam over here, one of our good friends. He's still in there. He's hanging in 6-6 by Raiders, one day behind him. All right, fantasy player of the week. We're in a fantasy league. Speaking of it, we're also with our guy C Wood, a few other Matt, a few guys over here that we're friends with. Listen to the pod. Over here at Variety Sports Network, we're proud to be sponsored by Row One Brand. You can find them on Twitter at Cool Stub. If you use the code VSP15, you'll save 15% off anything in the art gallery. So if you want to get maybe a Vinatieri kicking a field goal in the snow painting or something like that, I'm sure you can find it there at the Row One. Hell no, he doesn't want to buy it.
I mean, maybe could we get a Joe Montana hitting John Taylor in the end zone for the Super Bowl win over the Bengals?
Yeah, maybe get that or something like that. Or definitely we're not getting the Tuck rule one there. So, anyways, my fantasy player of the day, I think here brought to you by, like I said, by Row One. Follow them at Cool Stuff. I got Jalen Hurts, throws for 380 yards, 3 touchdowns on 29 and 39 while rushing for 1 touchdown. The man is absolutely on fire. I was like, there's got to be somebody else. There's a few other people I could have chose, but he had the best day. I mean, that's ridiculous. 3 touchdowns again.
I feel like A.J. Brown wanted the Titans to regret trading him because he had a game, man.
And speaking of that, let's transition. Look at Brian. Look how natural he is, folks, at becoming just at this game. He's becoming just one with the microphone. Right next to it, I had it. Are the Eagles NFC favorites? Are they heavy NFC favorites after another dominant win versus the Titans? You mentioned it, A.J. Brown. He took it very personal, you could tell, against the Titans. The Titans had nothing to give on offense as soon as they took away Derrick Henry, their top wide receiver, who they essentially traded for with drafting him. Burks, he goes out with an injury. Titans are decimated at wide receiver. They don't have much already to begin with there. They couldn't keep up at all with this team.
That guy who was trying to defend him, and AJ Brown just pushed him off and ran down the field and grabbed a touchdown like it was nothing.
My guy Savage over at 3 The Hard Way podcast, he was saying that he kind of reminds him of T.O.
Yeah.
What do you think? He does. He's big like that, right? Kind of bullyish like that.
Big. Yeah.
I guess he plays for the Eagles too. What do you think, Ryan, about that comment? Heavy favorites.
I would say Philly's a tough place to play in the playoffs because their fans are crazy for one, and then second, I would say the weather. So you might get like a snow flurry or something, and it's hard to play over there in the playoffs.
Well, I'm sure they're pretty nice. They're not, they're not bad. I know a few guys here, right? At BS, nice guys.
I heard they booed Santa Claus.
How can you boo Santa? You can't boo Santa. Unbelievable. They're just looking to boo people over there. It's funny. I got to go to a game out in the East Coast. Right? We've always talked about the fans out here. They're always good fans, but
I've heard from you some experiences at Raider games with people being too drunk, but
yeah, there's always that aspect of it. I wonder how many people get that was a big thing at the Raiders games as they were getting terrible. As the fans were falling down the stairs as they were entering the stadium. They were asleep by the third quarter. Throw it up. This was so. Hopefully the Eagles have a little bit more to stay up for. But anyways, they played really well. They ended up moving again to 11-1. They just feel now with the Niners going down a little bit, just feels a little bit, I don't know, it kind of hurts a little bit here, Brian, with that thing. So maybe with that said, let's get to the big one here. All right, let's get to where we're at here. We moved from the Eagles, who I had as obviously the best team, and then we had your team, the Niners, right? I had them as the second right behind them. They fry that fish as you asked for. They end up winning the game versus the Dolphins. 33-17. Garoppolo breaks his foot in the first quarter. Purdy ends up playing a pretty well game. I mean, your thoughts of the game, man? You had to be kind of frustrated by it, even though they won.
At the end of the day, I guess I felt it was a blessing in disguise because there was a report that came out before the game that they were open to bringing Jimmy back. And to be honest, I thought the report was crazy. I felt like you have to at some point develop Lance in the future. And I don't know. I just feel like this is a blessing in disguise. And I actually was impressed with the throws that Purdy was making. And I just felt like as long as he's not making really dumb plays and making the offense a lot worse, I feel like we're still in the mix there in the NFC. The NFC is just so wide open.
No, it is. But I don't see, that's the thing though, as I don't know if I necessarily agree with you, because I feel like with him going down, even though I guess I got to see a little bit more from Purdy, but I kind of feel like the Eagles are the NFC favorite. I feel like they are heavy because I think
I agree with that. I'm just saying like 2 through 4. I just said, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like with our defense, we could go into Minnesota and maybe steal a game, even with Brock Purdy at quarterback. Maybe that sounds crazy.
Now with the other thing with this game, though, I found interesting with it was that the Niners defense, again, like that first or before that play, that first play of the game, they end up getting that massive touchdown to start the game. So immediately you guys are on your heels 7-0. Then Garoppolo goes down. And then I feel like Purdy has that massive drive to get them on the board that kind of settles the team back down, gives them a little confidence on offense. And he was actually pretty impressive. I thought he got the ball out of his hand pretty good, pretty quickly for the most part. What's your confidence level in Brock Purdy to lead the 49ers to a Super Bowl? To lead them there. I mean, this is what you're playing for. You have a Super Bowl roster. If you're a Niners fan, Mateo, my guy Mateo, I love his tweets. He's like, we win. And he had this fake, but the mascot for the Niners like this with a rainbow over his head, like, yay.
Yeah.
Because the reality is you're down, Brian, to your third string quarterback. What if he gets hurt? You know what I mean? And you said bring back Lance. Yeah. I just don't see it happening. So, I mean, What do you think? What's your realistic confidence meter in Mr. Purdy?
I would say it's a 6 out of 10. I'm not going to go 7 or 8 or 9, but 6 out of 10.
Our guy Adam just texted me to let me
Just a little bit.
Adam just texted me and said Purdy is no Zappy.
He's better than Zappy. And what's he gonna say? Day by day this time.
All right. Then his other question for you is, Brian. Brian, I might have missed that Niner talk already, but my question is, how the hell do you go from hating Jimmy G to loving Jimmy G back to hating him again? He goes, the Niners can't win with Purdy. So his level is probably obviously at a 2. Should we say we'll give Adam a 2, or we gonna give him a 1? It's a straight 1 for Adam.
It feels like there's a point where, let's be realistic with Jimmy, he regresses. He regressed in the Saints game. He missed wide open throws where he could get touchdowns. The play before he got injured, Ayuk was wide open on the right. It was a walk-in touchdown. He missed it. He threw in the double coverage to Kittle. I mean, that's just, I don't know. I think
you were pretty pissed after that 13-0 game last week. I know you were pretty upset about that game, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like at some point in the season he regresses and the offensive struggles. And with the amount of talent you have on this offense, you should be putting points on the board. And you have a hard time getting the top off the offense with Jimmy.
Brian, I got to be realistic. I think it's funny with Adam's thing about Zappity, you know. But I think I got to agree. Like, I just think my confidence in him would be like a 5. You said a 6, I'd be a 5. I'd say 50-50. I feel like the rest of the team could help carry him. He did show some athleticism to get out of the pocket a little bit. I wouldn't say he's running for a first down necessarily. He's fast, but like he did show a little athleticism. He was able to pick up the quick throws. That's what the Niners have. They have Samuel, they have McCaffrey, they have Ayuk for these quick little plays that Shanahan can develop. And maybe this frees up Shanahan in some regards. And maybe this gets the Niners back to running the ball even more. Who knows? So I feel like
I feel like you could use Debo or McCaffrey. They're kind of known as Swiss Army knife players where they could do different things. I feel like you weren't using Debo enough. So Debo has enough energy to really, do the things that he can do to help the offense out. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. And I think that's like today we saw that.
Yeah.
We saw that, and he made some clutch throws in there, and the defense is always going to give you a chance. It'll just be interesting how Purdy adapts as defenses see him more, right? Because you could tell his arm strength wasn't unreal by any means. So
yeah,
that's going to be.
This has got to be the most pumped up I've seen Debo after a game. He was like going crazy.
Nick Mullins, they heard they might cite him again. Nick the Trick might be back. He might be
back.
No,
they signed. His last name is Johnson. He's been on the team before, but he's going to be the backup to Brock Purdy. No Nick Mullins.
Brian Adam also wants to make it official. It's a 1 out of 10 for him with his confidence meter with him. So it's a 1 out of 10. So I guess that's what do you give Zappity Doodah for the Patriots at a 2? I guess you must give Zappity a 2 for the Pats then. So all right, so we got Jimmy G. It's funny. Like before that injury, I did have them as like maybe the favorite right behind the Eagles, right, to kind of compete with them because they're known for that grittiness. It's like Purdy just has to show us something, show us a little something, and the Niners will stay right up there because of their defense. So
yeah, I mean, I'll be realistic. I'll put the Vikings ahead of the Niners. I would probably put Philly, then the Vikings, but I don't trust the Cowboys in the playoffs. Dak makes stupid plays. I would put the Niners above the Cowboys if I had to be realistic.
And your schedule's kind of interesting to end the season. It's Buccaneers at Seattle, Commanders at Raiders, and then Cardinals. It's not like terrifying by any means, right? So, those are like, you would say those are winnable games a week ago, right? Like a chance to win 4 out of 5 of those. So it's not like Purdy's getting thrown in the worst. That Niners-Raiders game, Brian, we'll have to have an immediate podcast after that one.
Hopefully they don't party too much because this was New Year's Day.
Ooh, in Vegas right there. A little Vegas time right there. Hey, can we take a quick little break and we'll be back with the second part of this to finish it up with the Bengals Chiefs, and we'll kind of do our NFL preview, our playoff preview here, and then we'll give our winners and losers of the week. This is Brian Johnson from the TNB podcast. I'm Darren Breyer from Fat Boy Fadeaway Sports. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. All right, and we're back. Talking the Gridiron here, part 2 of Variety Sports Network. Been proud of you. Got Brian Johnson with me, joining me this week. Brian, it's good to have you back on the podcast here with me. First time going live here on Talking the Gridiron. Really glad that you could join me this week. Too bad Tyler couldn't get here this week. He probably was obviously scared to talk to you about Garoppolo and Purdy, and I'm guessing that's the reason probably he didn't want to show up this week, because he probably didn't want to have you.
Yeah, I feel like it would have been more the glass is half empty approach.
Yeah, and I think we don't want that violence on a Sunday afternoon. We don't need that. We don't want you to slap him across the face here late. So I think it's a good thing.
And I just want to say, Darren, thank you for beating Matt in fantasy. You helped me out, and I'm beating Eric by a lot, and hopefully that pushes me to the 3rd place in our fantasy league.
Well, you're not brought to you by Row 1, but Fantasy Somewhere, you're brought to you by Row 1. So Cool Stuff, be sure to follow us over at Talking the Gridiron. Go to @CoolStuff. Brian's fantasy team is sponsored not by you, but there it is. So, yes, you are welcome for that, Johnson, as well. All right, hey, let's move to part 2 here of Talking the Gridiron. A lot of stuff I still wanted to get into here. To me, your game was big, but to me, there was one more game out there that was bigger. It was the biggest game of the day, in my opinion, and it was Chiefs at Broncos. The Chiefs, the Bengals pull it out 27-24. What the hell? Are they just the Mahomes and Chief kryptonite? Is this like the Eli Patriots weird freaking thing? What the heck is going on with the Bengals? They're suddenly on fire. They got their guys back. Burrow looks like he's super confident. They're coming off that Super Bowl loss last year. I mean, it just feels like everything for them is starting to click a little bit. And now they have this confidence that they might own this guy that seems unbeatable, who I've been saying is the best quarterback by far in the league, and it's not even close. And now he has an undefeated record against him. What the hell's going on here?
I love everything about Burrow. I love his confidence. I love his arm. I remember after he won the national championship game at LSU, and he's in the locker room smoking the stogie. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Joe Namath, and he's got that era about him. Like, he's just clutch and he can win big games. And the Bengals are my dark horse in that AFC, and I think they could knock off some teams and make it to the AFC Championship game again.
Their receiving core is also ridiculous.
Yeah,
especially with getting Chase back. Like, I feel like they're one of the teams, you give Burrow like that many receivers, it's like, I mean, are you kidding me? Like, and they're always. I feel like they have that potential to be the Chiefs from a couple of years ago. And I know the Chiefs are still electric and nothing like that. Like, they're still on the same level. But I'm just saying they're coming up again, and they have Chase, Higgins. Our guy Jimmy doesn't necessarily think they can keep Boyd, but my goodness, I feel like they're on that trajectory just to be constantly a battle and a thorn in Mahomes' side. Like, remember we were thinking like, well, who's the guy that's going to keep Mahomes from the Super Bowl, from the AFC Championship? Well, maybe this is the freaking guy that does that. Maybe Burrow is finally the guy in the NFL that says, screw you, Andy Reid, and that mustache, and we can beat your ass. It doesn't matter, because you got to think, last year they won in a shootout too, right? I know it was like over 40 points each. So, I mean, to me, I don't have a dog in the fight, but to me, all I know is this: I don't want the Chiefs to make it back, right? So, I do think there is a psychological advantage the Bengals are starting to play over the Chiefs. I don't think we can underplay that, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the fact how good Burrow's playing, what surprised me when I looked at Josh Allen's stats, he's thrown 11 picks this year, which is a lot. And I just feel like the Bengals are that team that could just be be the team that ends the Chiefs season. They just seem like they're that team that they have all this confidence going on right now.
No, they definitely do. And the thing too with Burrow is, like I said, like it's crazy to me that he is the one quarterback that's undefeated. Brady's the only other one that's been able to beat him 3 times. And Brady has that kind of AFC championship win over him as well, where the guy was it D Ford, the Niners picked him up. He went on.
Oh, man.
That's still one of the dumbest penalties of all time. That's kind of
when he the defensive offsides.
That's where you got to go, Bill Callahan. What are we, the dumbest team in America? I mean, but this is ridiculous. That's what I would do when I was that guy. Oh my gosh! That's just a bad one. Anyways, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen. We have a trio, Johnson, in the AFC that is going to be a dynamic rivalry. Tua, I know people want to throw him in there as well. And I got to say with Tua, I know I'm talking a lot right here real quick, but that Tua part with the head injury, I don't hear anybody talking about those head injuries with Tua anymore, just to say that out there with it. So the other part,
I'm definitely very excited for the AFC playoffs. It's going to be very entertaining.
Especially if Adams Patriots get in there at the seventh.
And they have to go to Miami and play the Dolphins.
And also, thank you, Adam, again.
Or it could be
of the week. Much appreciated, buddy. We appreciate it. No, go ahead, Brian.
I think it's possible maybe the Bengals get the number 2 seed, or maybe they sneak in there, because I was looking at their schedule and it's very favorable down the stretch.
Yeah, they can get the 1 seed.
And if Lamar Jackson, if he has a significant injury, they're probably going to win that division.
Yeah, they still play him one more time, so that will definitely be interesting when that matchup here. I wanted to show this quote real quick, but from Mike Hilton, the quote from he's a cornerback for the Bengals, and he said the Chiefs. He said this about the Chiefs after the win. He said they did a lot of talking all week, but we're 3-0 in the same year against them. I got a lot I can say, but 3-0 in the same year, in the same calendar year, tells the story. We'll probably see them again in the playoffs, and they know they got to play us. So that the rivalry between these teams is starting to get juiced up a little bit, Brian. It's starting to kind of, because the Bills, they don't have that beating the Chiefs consistently under their belt. They did beat them this year, but like the Bengals beat them in the playoffs. The Bengals beat them in the AFC Championship game, right? So I mean that's the difference here. So I don't know. Do you think this is maybe the biggest rivalry going here in the AFC, or do you think the Bills Chiefs still hold it?
Yeah, I would definitely Bills Chiefs, and then Chiefs Bengals are probably the 2 biggest rivalries right now in the AFC.
All right, let's go to or real quick before we end it on the Chiefs, man. What a game though, and I just can't emphasize enough. Like, to me, this rivalry going forward is going to be big. So Jimmy, your Bengals. I wish you were out here to talk about it, but congrats on the win, my friend. Your Bengals continue to stay on fire. So it'll be interesting where me and you put them on our top 5 here. We do that at the end of the podcast here. All right, let's go to my team here. Tears of joy, Johnson. Tears of joy. He's crying.
Beating the Chargers.
We beat the Chargers. Derek Carr and the Raiders are 3-0 after his teary-eyed press conference, where he got emotional like Dick Vermeil over just to keep his job. I like how I keep mentioning it, but Jimmy here, he goes, you realize on that press conference, he basically cried, realizing that the Raiders can't afford to fire McDaniels financially, so he's stuck with him as his quarterback.
Yeah, I heard about that. They're so cash poor that they can't fire McDaniels.
But again, Jacobs a big day, 144 yards rushing. Adams him and Carr seem to have figured out a little bit more. They're starting to look a little bit better, Brian. 3-0. Am I starting to get crazy here? Am I starting to get? Or can we make a run like we did last year? We're only 2 games behind the Jets, technically, right? So I don't know. Am I getting a little too excited here? Is there a chance?
I mean, I do look at the Raiders schedule, and it doesn't. I mean, you could pull off some games, and I just think you guys could make a run at the last playoff spot. But I just think, I don't know. I think the Jets will end up holding you off. I think you guys got 2 behind. You started 2-7, and that kind of hurt you guys.
Yeah, you can't get off to a start like that. I feel like we got to play Rams, Patriots, at Steelers, Niners, Chiefs. I mean, we got to beat the at Rams, and we got the Patriots one. That would be a fun little game. My first Sunday night doing it, talking the gridiron. Maybe Adam will have his den done by then. We could have about that podcast there. That would be a good fun game to do. I just think the Raiders still do have a legit chance after I've seen them kind of play a little bit the last couple of weeks. I think their offense is kind of coming around a little bit more. When I say a legit chance, I mean a legit chance to maybe get to 9-7. If they push that, and then we'll see what happens that final week. Can they get to 10-7 or, to finish the season? I mean, we got Rams, Patriots. There's a chance for us to get to 500 here. I mean, what are we saying? So, let's just kind of keep the positive. And then we play the Steelers. And then to me, that's where the money will be told when we go to Chiefs, Niners to end the season. So we'll see what happens there with it. What's the deal with the Chargers, though? I mean, what is the deal? Like, is this guy going to get
you go out and you get all that firepower in the off season, and you're a worse team than you were last year. I mean, I don't know. I think it was Keenan Allen he was injured, and I don't know. They've just been inconsistent on offense, and they still can't stop people on defense.
Yeah, no, they've majorly struggled there a little bit. It's funny because Tyler has been picking. He's gone Chris Berman with the Chargers the last couple of years. He's got Chargers, Niners for the last 2 years. I think you guys need to just ask him to stop picking his team right there at that point. You guys say stop picking those teams. Don't pick Chargers. Don't pick Niners. I think Herbert is an interesting one because I kind of feel like with Sean Payton waiting in the loom. There's a chance this guy gets fired, and maybe Payton's like, Herbert, yep, sign me up for that one. I'll take on that job.
And then you have a lot of talent on that roster. So
absolutely, that talent that team is loaded in certain areas. I just don't think anybody's really been able to take advantage of it. Don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the coach they have right now he's more of a coordinator. I don't know if he's like a guy that can take you to the next level. I think Sean Payton would be that guy.
Yeah, we'll see what the Chargers end up doing that side of it, but it wasn't. I don't know. Let's go to the other LA team real quick. I didn't even bother making it for them. They I feel like the Rams have just thrown in the white. I mean, they are just that towel is gone. We got our ring. We're good for a year. Let's
yeah. You basically shut Kupp down. You shut Stafford down.
Our guy DA said 1, 2, 3 Cancun. They are finished. And then they show a little life today in the Seahawks.
I was really hoping they would beat the Seahawks, but
they couldn't. A couple other games we didn't mention too. We didn't mention the Giants. They tie the Commanders. What do you think about that game?
Yeah, I was just kind of checking it out because that might be a possible first round wild card team we play, and I don't know. They both seem like lower wild card teams, and I don't know. I'm not really afraid of either of those teams.
Do you think Heineke? He kind of reminds me a little bit of Garoppolo with his team, though. Like the team,
yeah, you're right.
Play a little. I mean, they're 7-1 or 6-1-1 now with him, but he shows life, man. Like the team shows some freaking balls with him as they
I mean, the fact he went out and you got Wentz and he took over his job from him.
Hey, what's the defensive end they took a couple years ago? With the second pick, I believe, overall. Do you remember his name? He was a defensive.
Yeah, I know which one they're talking about him this morning. I guess they're kind of waiting. They're just being really overly cautious with him. It looks like they might bring him back after the bye week, so it sounds like.
Yeah, he hasn't been back for a while, and he would really help them as a defensive end. He was a beast. He was. His name eludes me at the moment here, but. I remember that play he made on the Niners a couple of years ago where he sacked you guys, right? And that he destroyed you guys as a defensive end, made you guys fumble there and cost you. What is his name? It's gonna bother me.
I know he was out of Ohio State.
Somebody comment in. What the heck is his name? I'm gonna edit for you. What is his name? What is it? I'm looking. I don't see it. Chase Young. There it is. 2 for 2 there.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you. Got it. All right, hey, so let's go real quick here. So, Oh, the other game we didn't mention, Lions Jaguars. All right, let's move on here. We got the No, I'm sorry. I got a couple of people that are Lions fans there. Jared Goff. I mean, it's the Lions. They're starting to play a little better on offense. It's good to see them.
But can you believe that they're kind of voting for the Rams to lose because they get the Rams first round pick, so they would have a top 5 pick in the draft because of the Stafford trade.
Johnson, what an excellent call there! What an excellent call. I didn't notice that in it. So you're right. The Rams don't even benefit from that part of it. So for them, they got their ring. Their GM's good for 1,000 years. He can retire on that. McVay, I think, will retire and join the booth next year. I think he's done after this year. Johnson, Sunday night update. Cowboys.
Wow.
The Colts 54-19. Prescott doesn't even throw for many yards, but he gets 3 touchdowns on 1 interception. I don't know why this game was even on Sunday Night Football to begin with. Just a joke. I'm telling you, the primetime games the rest of the year, there's a couple maybe, and they might flex a few, but I don't see where they are. It looks like they're keeping – they're not going to flex out the Patriots.
I know they flexed out. It was going to be Chiefs-Broncos, but they flexed it to Colts – Chargers versus Dolphins next week.
Hey, Brian, can I give you the worst primetime game of the year so far? On Christmas Day at 1 o'clock, it's the Rams at Broncos, or vice versa. You talk about a bad primetime game. That is freaking pathetic. That is the worst. The NFL's got to do better with some of these things. I'm sorry. You can't be having these teams. I mean, nobody wants to watch that garbage. And I get rid of these Thursday night football. I'm getting I'm venting right now. Nobody wants to see that stuff. It's pointless. Like, let's see next week. We got Patriots Cardinals Monday night. I mean, come on. We do have Broncos. We do have Dolphins and Chargers. So on Sunday night, that shouldn't be bad from a shootout standpoint. And the fact that Tua and Herbert were in the same draft class, that kind of makes that matchup a little bit interesting. Brian, let's do this.
I'm definitely glad they replaced. You could not have the Broncos on national TV for the rest of the year.
They can't score a freaking touchdown. That team should never be allowed to ever play in that. Ever. That is ridiculous. All right, Johnson, let's go what we said we were going to do here. Let's kind of do a little what if here. If the playoffs started today, what the matchups would look like real quick. The Bills would obviously get the bye. At this point, they're 9-3 if the Chiefs lost. They hold the tiebreaker. So you have the Bills at 1, Chiefs at 2, Ravens 3, Titans 4, Bengals 5, Dolphins 6, Jets 7, and you have the Patriots 6-6, Chargers 6-6, and then you got 3 teams at 5-7, kind of trying to get to that Jets at the 7 spot there. To me, the Chiefs Jets, that would be kind of a matchup. Dolphins Ravens, maybe a little better. Then you have Titans Bengals rematch. Nothing jumps out super exciting on the AFC side of it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like the Bengals would definitely take out the Titans, and then I feel like the Chiefs would destroy the Jets.
We'll see. I do think the Titans, the thing with them is I don't think they have enough firepower of beating a team 3 times. Could that happen? So that would be the only tricky part with that team on that side of the matchup there. The Chiefs Jets, it wouldn't be enough. They wouldn't be able to score enough with the Chiefs at home in that regard. I couldn't see that ever happening. But Baltimore, Miami, that would be kind of an intriguing one, especially if Jackson was back by that point. So we'll see. That's where you want the Chargers to be in the playoffs. Like, they're a little bit more exciting in that regard to me. Let's get to the NFC side of it. Your side of it here. You got the Eagles at the 1 seed holding it down. Vikings at the 2 seed, 10-2. Your Niners at the 3. Buccaneers 4. We mentioned Niners Bucks next Sunday, Brian. That'll be a big game as well. Even the Bucks are under 500, still a big game with Tom there. Cowboys at the 5 seed at 9-3. You got the Giants 6 and the Seahawks 7-5, holding that 7 seed. Commanders have that tie, so they're now bumped up to the 8 seed. And you got the Lions, Falcons, and Packers at 5-8, not looking good. So it's kind of between the Giants, Seahawks, and Commanders for that final spot. Any takeaways from the NFC standings at this point?
I mean, I guess what I'm looking at is that like teams. I guess teams could surprise, but I mean it's been the same for a while now. So
Well, let's look at a matchup here. So if we had Seahawks Vikings, that would be I think that would be kind of a fun matchup. And then to me, the Niners. Let's go to your team, Niners Giants. We've only seen that a few times throughout the years.
Yeah, exactly.
So that'd be kind of a fun matchup to see again, especially with Purdy now. I mean, everybody would. That's the thing with Purdy now as the quarterback. It's going to take people outside to believe in him, right? So there's going to be this real. I don't know. There's just going to be this like doubt in the Niners more than like your had. So you're going to have to stand up big as a Niners fan here to really stand up on it.
Hopefully Bob doesn't want to call me and ask me about Macy's again.
No, that would be.
Remember when we were playing the Giants when they had Kerry Collins and they were getting beat a lot, and I was kind of upset.
Why do you got to bring Kerry Collins back into this? Kerry Collins as a Raiders quarterback does not need to ever be brought up. Now, Brian, this to me would be an intriguing matchup, even though you wouldn't think it record-wise, but it's Tom, so it's Tampa and Dallas, right? So you'd have that would
definitely be a good matchup.
So that'd be kind of interesting to see there. In the NFC side too, it would be kind of interesting to see if between the Giants, Commanders, and who did I say? Giants, Commanders, and the Seahawks. Who do you think gets those final two spots?
I would definitely say I think the Giants would stay where they are at 6, and then I would say I just think the Commanders would end up with 7. I think the Seahawks would be the outside looking in.
What do you think about the other thing too with the Giant with that scenario is I don't want the Seahawks in. Like I'd rather not have the Seahawks in for some reason. I don't know. I kind of want to see the Giants kind of get in this year. I usually don't root for them, but this is the year I kind of I would like to see Barkley get in. And
they've definitely been a surprise to me because I thought Seattle would be this would be more of a rebuilding year for them.
Actually, maybe I'd take that back. I think the Commanders are the team I wouldn't want to see in. I'd rather see Metcalf and Lockett in there instead of Heineke. There's a few. I like some of the players on the Commanders, but I obviously know a little bit more of the Seahawks guys, so I think I would pull for them a little bit more. Johnson, we're getting close to the end here. I got a few more things for us, and we'll call it an evening. Who's the MVP? It's Hurts, I think, at 1, right? He's the Who is the question? Is who's the NFL?
But then 2 right now, I really gotta go with Burrow, just because what he's dealt with injuries.
I think I'm with you on that. I mean, that's hard for me to believe that I'm not saying Mahomes. I think maybe I'm just being recency bias too.
So I feel like if Mahomes had won this game, then Mahomes would be 2.
Yeah, I feel like
Burrow won this game then.
Look, the thing is too is you look at the AFC standings, right? And the top 3 teams are Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore, and the Bengals. Well, other than the Ravens now with Lamar being out, those top 3 quarterbacks are all in the MVP conversation. Allen would be the third of them, right? So I think you're right with Burrow being legitimately up there as one of the candidates. You think AJ Brown will get any votes or Hill?
Maybe AJ Brown, but I wouldn't say Hill.
Who's the best running back this year? It's been funny. It really hasn't. Like sometimes there's a running back that's just dominant throughout the season. There really hasn't been one this year, huh?
No.
Like Taylor was last year.
I think they said fantasy. They said the number 2 fantasy points for running backs have been Miles Sanders this year.
Yeah, I was going to look. And the other guy, too, that I was thinking about, and he has, was Josh Jacobs. He, especially after that game he had last year. He's had a monster season going forward. All right, Brian, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here, the last couple of topics here, closing in on an hour. Like I said, glad to have you joining me this week on Talking the Gridiron. I hope you can do it more throughout the rest since we're getting close to the end here, especially with your boy Purdy, Purdy.
Brock Purdy.
Remember he was a writer for the Bay Area, something Purdy too, so he was a writer. All right, let's get to Monday Night Football. Monday night look ahead. We got the Saints at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 3.5-point favorites. Who do you got? And then and do you think Adam keeps bringing it up? Do you think there's a chance Brady, could go back to the Patriots?
No, I just don't see that. I just don't see any chance. I just think he wouldn't want to go back, and I think he would want to do something outside of Bill Belichick. I just don't see him doing that.
That's understandable.
I think I'm going to definitely take the Buccaneers in Monday Night Football game.
Okay, so let me make it. Would you take them by 3.5 points though?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the Saints. We had Da on last week. He's a Saints fan. I don't know if you got to check out some of the podcasts, but he just said and then Jimmy, obviously being a Bengals fan, he got to see Andy Dalton as the quarterback for a long time. So he said Red Rocket is just he's just not gonna get you big plays. So but right now with the Bucks, they're not really either, right? They haven't been phenomenal by any means on offense.
Yeah, no, offensively they've been more stable defensively. That's what's been keeping them in this.
Yeah, so that's to me that's the interesting part of it. Going forward to it. So Monday night, I'm gonna go Buccaneers as well. I think you know what? I'm gonna surprise people actually. I'm gonna go with Saints. I'm gonna go DA Saints. I'm gonna say they pull out the win against Tom and the Tom's Bucks. I'm gonna say Dalton pulls it out 24-17 against Tom. No, 24-20. I'm gonna go 24-20 against Tom there. The Saints somehow pull out a miracle and they stay in the NFC. Because that'd be funny too if the Saints win, they go to 5 wins. They have 3 teams with 5 wins and the NFC South. It's such a bad. How does Tom do it picking the right division, Brian? I do not know how he does it.
I think that's the reason.
Me and Brian are, like I said, let's get to the last part here of the show. Always my favorite part. I zoom in on us, zoom in on those ugly mugs. Right there, right there. Help we can get our faces right there.
Well, maybe yours is ugly, but mine isn't.
That's what the ladies been telling you. All right, how about SeatGeek? Use the code Brian. Go to Variety Sports Network. You can use the code VSN, or just use the code VSN15. You'll get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. And you can, like I said, of any tickets there, you want to go see a Chargers game down there, Brian, go, you make that trip, get $20 off your seats. So, winners, losers, week 13. Who you got, Brian? Who's your winner of the week? Let's go winner of the week first. Who you got?
I go. My winner of the week is definitely Burrow.
Yeah, MVP candidate. I'm going to go AJ Brown. Just the middle finger to the Titans a little bit, right? Just a little bit, not a, just a little bit showed there a big thing there. So I'm going to go Titans there, and AJ Brown winner of the week. I also need to throw out your boy though, Purdy. He gets it done for your Niners. I mean, that's a big win, Brian. You can't underrate that one.
That is a big win, beating the Dolphins.
So I definitely go that with winner of the week. All right, loser of the week. Who is your losers of the week in the NFL? Loser storyline.
I'm gonna go Jimmy G. After all this, he's gonna come back to the Niners and he breaks his foot. And like a lot of people were saying, if he had a good postseason and the Niners won the playoffs, that he would have a big contract for some. But I mean, this just shows why people have issues with Jimmy. He can't stay healthy. Yeah,
it's been a really big issue. That's the thing. He's been playing well at times, but then you're right. They're just not able to get it done in that regard. I'm going to go loser of the week. I have a few options here I'm going to go, but I think my loser of the week, Johnson, I think I'm going to go a couple ones. For Adam's sake, I'm going to go Patriots offense. It was pretty bad there. And I'm also going to go loser of the week. I feel like the Chargers deserve loser of the week. I just feel like they barely beat the Cardinals last week. And then if you're a serious playoff team, the Raiders they're playing better, but they just don't have that grit that Jimmy was talking about last week for them. So a little disappointing.
And I would say my other loser of the week is the Titans, because what were you thinking trading AJ Brown?
That's actually a great call that side as well. That's winner of the week, AJ Brown. Probably loser of the week would be Titans as well. Titans fans out there, sorry, but I think Brian might be onto something with that one as well. So, Brian, people can find you at TMB podcast, right? With Tyler Saturday morning. You guys will be previewing.
We're gonna be here Saturday morning. It's probably gonna be somber with Tyler. It's gonna be a little bit more positive with me, but if you want the positive, then you follow me. If you want the somber, and I love Kyle Shanahan, I love Jimmy Garoppolo, then you got to go Tyler. If you love Trey Lance and you want a more open offense, then you go Brian Johnson.
Well, Ryan, we know that with you can look for Brian at TMB Sports, and we always know about the open offense with you. It is actually kind of funny to see you guys both on the podcast a little bit because That's just you and Tyler. So it's funny to see you guys.
Maybe it's a little bit like Skip and Shannon.
Skip and Shannon. Yeah, that's what it is there. You Skip and Shannon. All right. My loser of the week, like I said, or you can also find me at Fat Boy Fadeaway on Twitter over there. We do the pod. We just had one out today, me and Tyler, this Sunday. We talked a little bit, did the Niners Dolphins preview. We talked a little bit Draymond Warriors starting to play a little bit better. So check us out over there at Fat Boy Fadeaway. Again, check out Brian at TMB Sports with Tyler McGurk Saturday mornings. Brian, glad you could join me this week finally to do this do the Talkin the Gridiron. We got to do it again next Sunday, my friend. The games are only getting bigger.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to play Tom Brady. I'm sure he's going to go visit his high school in San Mateo while he's up here. And
who do you got the Niners winning?
Right now, it's a little too close. I'll probably have to make my pick later on in the week.
Who's the Monday night? We said it's Bucks. It's Patriots Cardinals, right? Next week.
Yeah.
That's
and then Sunday night is Chargers versus Miami.
Yeah, so that's not bad then at all. All right. Well, with that said, Brian Johnson, I'm Darren Breyer from Fat Boy Fadeaway. Until then, we'll see you next week. Peace.
All right. Peace. Later.